You walk through a corridor surrounded by outstretched hands, all asking something of you. Approval, applause, a sign that you did the right thing, that you are enough, that you deserve to be there. And the most disturbing part isn't the corridor itself. It's realizing that you've already lived this exact scene every single day inside your own mind, chasing external validation as if it were oxygen, as if you couldn't keep breathing without it. Today I'm going to show you 6 Stoic lessons to help you stop seeking external validation, once and for all. Since childhood, no one taught you that chasing other people's approval is a pursuit that never ends. It only devalues itself over and over. Instead, you learned that being seen as good, competent, attractive, or successful depended on outside confirmation coming first. Every compliment became a small, addictive reward, while silence or the absence of recognition planted a seed of doubt. Am I really enough? That pattern grew stronger, shaped by the belief that external approval was necessary for your own worth. And so you spent your life trying to earn other people's approval, hoping their gaze would confirm your value, ignoring that this was a trap you built yourself. You handed over your self-esteem and your inner sense of worth to the fluctuating opinions of people who, most of the time, didn't even care or understand your true essence. Think about how many nights you replayed a conversation just to guess what someone thought of you. Think about how many important decisions you postponed, waiting for a sign of approval that might never come. That's the invisible price you pay without realizing it. The price of living as a hostage to judgments you could never control. The Stoics identified this mechanism 2,000 years ago, and their lesson remains more relevant today than any modern motivational advice. The first Stoic lesson is simple and cutting. What others think of you was never under your control. Epictetus divided the world into 2 categories, with no middle ground. There is what depends on you, your judgments, your choices, your efforts, your daily discipline. And there is what does not depend on you, other people's opinions, reputation, recognition. Seeking external validation is spending your finite energy trying to control something that was never in your hands to begin with. You can deliver the best work of your life and still be ignored. You can act with total integrity and still be misunderstood. You can love someone sincerely and not be met the way you hoped. That is not your failure. It is simply the uncontrollable nature of other people's judgment, something that should never have been your measure of worth. When you truly understand this, something shifts. You stop chasing an unreachable approval and start investing that same energy into something that actually belongs to you, your own conduct. When your self-worth depends on what's inside rather than what's outside, a deep freedom emerges. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself that wasting time worrying about others' opinions was a distraction from the only work that truly matters, cultivating one's own virtue. And there's a quiet liberation in this. Once you accept that you cannot control another person's judgment, you stop fighting the wind and start building something solid within yourself, something no outside opinion can shake. The second lesson: whoever depends on approval hands over command of their own life to whoever is approving. Every time you need someone to validate your decision before you act on it, you unknowingly transfer authority over your own existence to a person who may not even be paying attention to you with the care you imagine. Marcus Aurelius, Emperor of Rome, wrote to himself at night precisely to avoid this trap. How much longer will you wait to be worthy of yourself, instead of waiting for others' approval? If a man with absolute power over an empire, capable of deciding wars and laws with a single word, needed to remind himself of this every day, what makes you think you can live without that same vigilance? The truth is that dependence on external validation is a subtle form of slavery. You hand your autonomy over to other people's approval, which fluctuates constantly and is beyond your control. When you do this, your inner compass shuts off. Your decisions become dictated by what others might think, instead of your own authentic judgment. Reflect. How many times have you changed course not because you discovered a mistake, but because you feared the judgment of someone who wasn't even living your life? Every time you do this, you hand over a piece of your inner throne to hands that have no authority over it whatsoever. Reclaiming that sovereignty requires a quiet, daily decision. Act first according to what you judge to be right, and only afterward consider, without clinging to it, what others will say. The third lesson, perhaps the most uncomfortable. The search for validation is born from fear, not self-love. Stop and observe yourself honestly. When you post something hoping for likes, when you wait for praise after an effort, when you feel incomplete until someone confirms your worth, what's behind that is not pride. It's fear. Fear of not being enough on your own. Fear that, without the outside mirror, you wouldn't know who you are anymore. Seneca wrote that no one is free who is a slave to their own body, but he could have written the same line about others' approval. No one is free who depends on the opinion of someone who may have never thought deeply about them at all. That fear often disguises itself as ambition or motivation, pushing you to strive endlessly, yet never satisfied. The core problem isn't your desire for achievement, but the unexamined belief that your worth depends on others' recognition. Notice how well that fear hides. It dresses up as perfectionism, as not good enough yet, as I need to improve more before I show myself. But behind those masks, there is always the same frightened child, waiting for someone to say she's okay, just as she is. The Stoic work begins exactly there, recognizing the fear without shame and choosing to act anyway. The fourth Stoic lesson strikes directly at the root of the problem. You are comparing your inner world to other people's surface. You see other people's lives edited, filtered, presented only at their best moments, and you dishonestly conclude that you're behind, that you need validation to reach that standard. The Stoics warned about this centuries before social media ever existed, the danger of measuring your life against someone else's external yardstick. Epictetus said that if you want to progress, accept looking foolish and naive in the eyes of others, because this constant concern with opinion and status is one of the most effective ways to never live your own life. You don't have access to the countless behind-the-scenes struggles, doubts, failures, and sacrifices that others hide behind their polished images. When you compare your inner reality to their public facade, you condemn yourself to suffering, feeling inadequate, incomplete, or undervalued. Think about how much energy you've already spent trying to reach a standard that isn't even real, just a carefully staged display window. That constant comparison is a silent thief. It steals your attention from the only place where real change happens, which is inside you. Freeing yourself from this trap doesn't mean stopping to notice the world, but rather stopping to judge your own journey by rulers that were never meant to measure your life. The fifth lesson may be the most liberating one. Approval and truth rarely walk together. Often, the right path is unpopular. The correct decision is misunderstood. The most honest attitude is criticized by those who lack full context to judge it. If you condition your actions on other people's prior approval, you automatically eliminate any possibility of doing something truly difficult, truly right, truly yours. Marcus Aurelius faced betrayals, wars, and the death of his own children without waiting for applause for keeping his composure. He acted because it was right to act that way, not because someone would validate the gesture afterward. Recognize that other people's validation is fragile, an unreliable indicator, and that true integrity comes from doing what's right, regardless of others' opinions. There is a quiet courage in doing the right thing without witnesses, without applause, without anyone to validate your choice. And it is precisely that courage, invisible to the world's eyes, that builds the strongest character there is. Whoever only behaves well when watched has not yet discovered true virtue. Whoever behaves well in the dark has already found true freedom. The sixth lesson is the most practical of all. There is only one judgment about you that truly matters, and it is your own. Not because you should become arrogant or indifferent to others, but because in the end, you are the only person who will live with every decision, every motive, every real intention behind every choice you made. Others see the outcome. You know the process. And it is precisely that intimate knowledge, that honest internal audit, that the Stoics called virtue. Acting correctly even when no one is watching, even when no one will applaud, even when validation never comes. That is the difference between living for an audience and living by a standard. The audience changes its mind, gets distracted, forgets. The standard, when it's truly yours, when it was born from genuine reflection rather than fear, remains steady, regardless of who is watching. At the end of each day, ask yourself this quiet question: did I act today according to who I truly want to be? Or did I act to please someone who might not even remember it tomorrow? That simple daily audit, practiced with honesty, is the exercise the Stoics use to stay on course. And it's the same exercise that can hand you back the reins of your own life. There's another detail most people ignore. The more you seek validation, the faster it runs out. Today's compliment demands a bigger one tomorrow, and what once felt like enough no longer satisfies you the following week. It's a bottomless well, because external validation was never meant to fill you up. It was only meant to postpone, for a moment, the uncomfortable question you avoid answering on your own. Are you enough without anyone confirming it? The more you feed that hunger with other people's approval, the more it grows, never less. It's the same mechanism as any addiction. The relief is immediate, but the next craving comes back stronger, more urgent, harder to ignore. Notice also that this cycle of constant seeking consumes a resource you never get back: the present moment. Every minute spent trying to guess someone else's opinion is a minute stolen from your own inner construction. Breaking this cycle isn't a single act, but a repeated practice, day after day, until inner stillness becomes more familiar than the restlessness of the chase. Notice also how much time and energy you've already invested shaping your behavior, your words, even your important decisions, just to secure the positive reaction of someone who, most of the time, won't even remember the moment the following week. Meanwhile, you carry the weight of that waiting for years. Epictetus would call this trading what is yours, your freedom of judgment, for something that never was and never will be yours, other people's opinion. An unequal trade made over and over, almost always without you noticing the accumulated loss. And the cruelest part is that this trade is usually silent. You never decide, in one dramatic moment, to hand over your freedom. You give it away in small doses, day after day, choice after choice, until one day you realize you no longer know how to make an important decision without first thinking about how it will look to others. There is also a crucial difference between pursuing excellence and pursuing approval, and the Stoics insisted on it. Pursuing excellence means working to become more integral, more capable, more aligned with your own values, regardless of who is watching. Pursuing approval means adjusting your behavior to whatever momentary taste the observer holds, which constantly changes and never offers a stable foundation. When you confuse the two, you begin chasing a target that keeps moving as you approach it, exhausting yourself in a race with no finish line. Stoic excellence doesn't ask for applause because it doesn't depend on it to exist. It rests on the coherence between what you think, what you say, and what you do, even when no one is checking that coherence besides yourself. Think now about how many people around you live exactly this way, adjusting every gesture, every word, every post to whatever they imagine will generate approval. They look secure at first glance, but inside, they're in constant vigilance, calculating reactions before even acting. That's not freedom. It's a prison disguised as popularity. And the most ironic part is that the more someone shows this dependence, the less genuine respect they tend to inspire. Because people notice, even unconsciously, when they're facing someone with no center of their own. Someone who merely reflects back whatever is expected to be well received. Marcus Aurelius wrote something that sums this up well. Too much time is wasted thinking about what others say, do, or think, when that time could be invested in observing one's own actions. He wasn't suggesting indifference or contempt toward others. He was pointing out priority. Your own integrity comes first. Recognition, if it comes second. Never the other way around, because when you reverse that order, you build your identity on a foundation that can crumble at any moment, at the mercy of whoever happens to be watching that day. There's a simple exercise the Stoics practiced that can become your tool starting today. Whenever you feel the urgent need for approval, pause for a moment and ask yourself, does this need come from a real value I'm trying to defend, or just from the fear of being judged? That small, almost imperceptible pause is the space where real freedom happens. It's there, in that gap between impulse and action, that you reclaim the command you had unknowingly handed over to every person who ever had an opinion about your life. Think about how many times you've changed your posture, your speech, even your appearance, just to fit an expectation that was never clearly spoken, only felt in the air like a silent pressure. That pressure will never fully disappear. It's part of the human experience. Living in society means dealing with the gaze of others. But there's a huge difference between acknowledging that gaze and being governed by it. Acknowledging it is wise. Being governed by it is handing over the keys of your own existence to hands that will never care for it with the devotion you would. Marcus Aurelius said that when someone insulted him with words, he reminded himself that he was only hurt if he accepted the insult as true. The same logic applies to approval. You only depend on it if you accept, internally, that it's necessary for your worth. The moment you withdraw that consent, not with anger, not with pretended indifference, but with calm clarity, approval loses the power you gave it in the first place. It keeps existing. People keep having opinions, but you are no longer tied to that opinion as if your identity depended on it. And perhaps the most stoic step of all is this. Start validating yourself. Your own small daily victories, the ones no one will ever applaud. The moment you resisted the urge to react impulsively. The morning you kept a promise to yourself, even without feeling like it. The quiet choice to act with honesty when lying would have been easier. No one will clap for these things, and that's exactly why they matter so much, because they were done without an audience, only by you, for you, with you as the sole witness and the sole judge. Think about the last time you postponed an important decision waiting for someone's approval. Think about how much of your finite life you've already surrendered to that waiting. Days, months, maybe entire years lived half hesitant, half absent, waiting for a green light that depended on someone who might never give it. And think, above all, about how different it would be to act first according to your own judgment, letting outside approval be an occasional bonus, never a condition to move forward. There's a simple question that can serve as your compass from today on. If no one ever found out about this decision, this action, this effort, would you still do it? If the answer is yes, you're acting on principle. If the answer is no, you might just be feeding the need to be seen. There's no judgment in that. It's human to seek recognition. But there's a huge difference between acknowledging that impulse and being ruled by it. If you've made it this far, you may have already realized how much of your energy has been spent waiting for signs that never depended on you. Leave that in the comments. Put into words the pattern you recognize today, because naming it is the first step to disarming it. And if this reflection made sense to you today, subscribe, because the next outstretched hand asking for your validation may show up sooner than you think. And you need to be ready to keep walking forward, guided by your own judgment, not by the echo of opinions that pass by.